Ladies and gentlemen, the Smackdown from Bologna, Italy has come and gone, and this trend of international crowds being some of the loudest, best crowds WWE has ever had continued. They were loud all night long, and there's certainly a lot to talk about as the WrestleMania card is shaping up quite nicely. But I asked you over on Twitter to submit any hot takes, bold opinions, thoughts, or concerns on the show, or whatever else you may have, and then I talk about them right here. We get into them, dive into some of your theories, critique them, roast them. It's a great time. So if you'd like to submit your hot take in the future, be sure to follow me over on X at Conman167. And if you want my entire review with the actual footage of Friday Night Smackdown, be sure to go check me out over on Patreon. Link in the description below. But now let's get into your hot takes. Triple threat at Mania. After the end of Friday Night Smackdown, it certainly seems like we are pointing in the direction of Seth Rollins, CM Punk, and Roman Reigns fighting in a triple threat, potentially in the main event of night one of WrestleMania. Like, there is so much star power between these three men, but not only that, the story has been told since what? War Games, even before that? Hell, since CM Punk came back to WWE, Seth Rollins has hated that man. Like, their feud is generational, and you add in the wise man Paul Heyman, you add in Roman Reigns not trusting CM Punk, you add in CM Punk's just verbal jabs along the way, just getting under the skin, making every little comment he possibly can to piss off the tribal chief. It's awesome to watch, and this Mania match is going to cook when those three megastars get in the ring. And the best part is I don't think that we're done in this build at all. We got a taste of the three men cutting a promo against each other, but then it jumped right into a massive brawl. Like, we still have that promo segment to come where there's going to be so many more elements added into this story. Again, going back to the favor that CM Punk and Paul Heyman owes Punk, I should say, it's one of those things where you're like, what is that favor going to be? What could it possibly be? Is it going to impact the match at WrestleMania? Is this favor going to play out after WrestleMania? What did CM Punk mean by serving Roman Reigns up on a silver platter here on Friday Night Smackdown? Is there something more going on with Paul and CM Punk? There may very well be, and this could be a huge way to end WrestleMania Night 1 with potentially CM Punk and Paul Heyman aligning with each other. And even if that doesn't happen, there's so many other different directions we could go in. We could add a stipulation to this match where it's like a triple threat number one contenders match where the winner coming out of WrestleMania gets to choose which champion they want to face. Like, that'd be a cool direction, although it does kind of feel like it's just a remix of the Royal Rumble. But even if there's no stipulation and it is just a straight up triple threat match, the star power of all three men will carry it, and it is absolutely main event worthy. So sign me up, man. Point at that sign all they want. I know they probably could have had more of a promo segment on Friday Night Smackdown, but hey, the brawl got me hyped up for Mania, and I know there is certainly more to come. Def Rebel has got to go. Oh man, okay, Def Rebel, where do we even begin? Oh, how about here? Let's just stop changing wrestlers' theme songs for the sake of changing wrestlers' theme songs. That's a good start. But in all seriousness, I don't hate everything that Def Rebel has produced. Like, they have produced a lot of great, iconic theme songs, and when they sit down and say, hey, this dude's a star, we need to make a star sound for this star, they deliver. And like a lot of the theme songs in WWE, you can't picture that wrestler coming out to a different theme song, or at least it's a bit of a struggle to picture it. But the thing is that they tinker with their theme songs all the time, and they make changes for no reasons. And then all of a sudden, when they do decide to change a theme song just for the sake of changing it, or who knows if there's actually a reason behind the scenes, it doesn't seem to match the character. It's like they have a bank of theme songs that they just pull from, and they say, Street Profits, here you go. Zelina Vega, here you go. Like, there's no rhyme or reason for the theme song with that character. I remember watching a documentary or a YouTube video about Jim Johnson, and he would sit and watch the wrestler walk down to the ring. He would envision what that theme song would be like. He would try to match the way that they walk with the way, like the beat of the sound. You know, kind of like Obafemi has down in NXT, right? Like, that's a theme song that matches the character. He walks to the beat of the theme. The crowd gets involved. Trick Williams has the crowd chanting along. Like, there is some theme songs where they do this, but also at the end of the day, if you're an undercard person or a person who is like maybe not the the highest on the card. I don't know how else to say this. They are viewed in a lower way than, say, like a Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns. Like if you're Zelina Vega right there, you're grinding your teeth trying to get over with the fans, and then you get this theme song that nobody knows and nobody identifies you with, and it's just crickets. It sucks to see. Like, for example, when Jacob Fatu debuted his new theme song, it matched the character, and you're like, oh, I'm hyped up for this guy. But there's also still nothing that you really sing along to. Sure, you do the hoo, hoo, or that was Obafemi. Sure, I don't know what the hoo, hoo. There's a lot of hoo. There's also Braun Breaker with the hoo, hoo, hoo. All right, there's a lot of whoos. But like, I remember growing up listening to Batista's theme song, singing along to that. I walk alone. Okay, I will never sing in Hot Takes again. Now, don't get me wrong. There's also a ton of theme songs from the past that are incredibly generic. Like if you go back through the WWE Vault on Netflix, you'll hear a lot of generic theme songs for people who are in the middle of the card. Theme songs that you certainly couldn't identify with that person. But at the end of the day, it was still unique to them in some way, shape, or form. And I'm sure if you listen to it on Spotify today, like you'll be like, oh yeah, that was, I don't know, like for example. Yeah! Hey, that's one. Simon Dean. Look, even this one. This is not for like anybody high on the card, but it's still a banger. So I don't truly know if the right idea is to get rid of Def Rebel or not. They can probably just add some new people to their team or something along those lines, and they'd be able to help produce some more songs for people lower on the card. Because unfortunately, people like Zelina Vega are going to suffer as a result. So it is what it is. But yeah, I want some theme songs that are more like specific to the wrestlers, okay? I miss those days. Hot take. Jacob needs to turn face and turn on Solo and the Tongans. He is great on the mic, amazing in the ring, and I feel like this bloodline story is holding him back from bigger and better things. Yeah, spot on. Jacob Fatu definitely should turn babyface at some point in the near future and fight his bloodline. He's got to go up against Solo Sikoa after everything Solo's put him through. And I do believe Solo Sikoa is like a mere week or two away from truly spiking the ever-loving hell out of Jacob Fatu. Solo's gonna turn on this man at some point, and then it's all Jacob Fatu, all gas, no breaks, right to the main event scene. Jacob Fatu versus Solo Sikoa at WrestleMania 41 just makes a ton of sense, and I'd love to see it happen, especially like if you could add in the dynamics of it being Jacob versus Tama Tonga, if Tonga Loa is able to come back, him and Solo Sikoa. Like that alone, seeing the divide and the breakup of that bloodline would be really cool. And then you could feel almost as if like the end of the bloodline story is coming. Like you don't need to have Solo Sikoa with Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa continuing to portray the bloodline 2.0 or whatever they want to call themselves now. They can just simply become menacing threats again, and it doesn't have to be with the bloodline story. Why did I make that like that was very close together? All right, but I do agree the bloodline story is slightly holding Jacob Fatu back from bigger things right now. I do believe that that's done on purpose, though, because there's just no room at the moment for Jacob Fatu in that main event scene. It feels almost like an injustice to have Jacob Fatu as a mid-card champion at this point, because he would eventually have to lose the championship. I'd almost just love to see him go right to the main event scene and just dominate in the main event scene. Hell, I'd have him be the guy who takes the World Heavyweight title off of Jey Uso after Mania. If you wanted that to be a SummerSlam match, it could easily be a SummerSlam match. In order for that to happen, though, Jacob Fatu doesn't need to turn full babyface. We just need to let the man be the man, similar to how Braun Breaker is Braun Breaker, similar to how Roman Reigns is Roman Reigns, right? Also CM Punk. It's similar to how CM Punk is just how CM Punk is. You don't have to have a defining babyface or heel run for Jacob Fatu. Just let Jacob Fatu go out there and be Jacob frickin' Fatu. The triple threat with Roman, Punk, and Rollins needs something on the line to make it main event worthy. Yeah, I can see where you're coming from with this. It's totally understandable to say that a main event match between three guys needs something more on the line. Maybe like a number one contendership where they can go after either the world title or the WWE championship. Maybe there's like Paul Heyman and his allegiance on the line, but that doesn't make a ton of sense with Seth Rollins in there. Like, yeah, you could maybe make something like a stipulation where it's like a no DQ match, but triple threats are already no DQ. Look, it sounds like everything is there for this match to already be a successful main event. and you don't really need to add more to it, but if you did, I don't think it would hurt it. I know people are going to say like this doesn't deserve to be the main event of WrestleMania because there isn't anything on the line, and fair play, right? The ending of Mania could be Gunther versus Jey Uso, but that feud has kind of died out, and the hype behind Jey Uso isn't where it once was, and so him ending WrestleMania is a bit of a risky note. There's also the potential that you could put the triple threat women's match, Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, and Bianca Belair on there. But like also, it feels like Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and CM Punk is a bigger match than that just simply because of the stars involved in the match. And that is not a shot at those three women at all, because those three women are some of the biggest stars in WWE history. It's just we're talking CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins, three of the most important people of the last 20 years. And with the story that's going on, this is the main event. There's no question to me, this is the main event of night one of WrestleMania. It's going to keep the fans invested. People will be sticking around all night long to put their finger up in the air for Roman Reigns, to hear CM Punk's theme song, and to sing along with Seth Rollins' theme. Of course, the dynamic in the ring is three of the best wrestlers of all time, and they would definitely be able to tell an incredible story there in the main event, work a 30-minute match, and really have the people on their feet by the end of it. So it's going to be a hell of a main event. If you want to add something more to it, by all means, I would love to see what more could be added, but I'm still here for this being the main event of night one of Mania. SmackDown's tag division is cooking, and it's not a surprise that the Profits versus Legado was match of the night. The resurgence of the SmackDown tag team division has been awesome to watch, and like, fair play to everybody involved. They've done a great job at connecting stories, connecting the dots, and making like a whole bunch of teams feel important, or at least a lot more important than they did before. That's what happens when you commit time and effort to telling stories in a tag division that honestly didn't really have much of a story to begin with. But the thing with the tag team division right now is, now that the Street Profits are on top, we need to figure out what that next team coming up is. And there's no better team out there than Fraxium, in my opinion. Once Fraxium decides to leave NXT, or NXT is done with Fraxium, or whatever ends up happening with them, it's probably going to be after they break the Ascension's longest reigning NXT Tag Team Championship record. But once they do that, they are ready-made to move up to the main roster. I'm one of the people who think Fraxium should stay together when they go up there. Seeing that reaction for Axiom was amazing, but Nathan Frazier is also incredible. And this could be the tag team to watch on the Friday Night SmackDown brand. Can you imagine them going up against DIY, them going up against Motor City Machine Guns, Los Garzas, Pretty Deadly, and then eventually the Street Profits themselves? Like, that's how you build this tag division. You don't have teams that have already been there, done that, told that story. You have a new team that's exciting, who goes up against all these tag teams that you've built for the better part of, 6 months now? Once you've built all these tag teams to the next level, you take a team and you have them beat all those tag teams and make them into an incredibly star-studded tag team. I think what I'm saying is making sense. Fraxium has the potential to be the next generation's Hardy Boys, if you want to look at it that way. Frazier and Axiom are so fun to watch in that ring. Adding them into the SmackDown tag team division might be exactly what is needed in order to take this division from this level to the next level. They're already here. Let's go even higher. SmackDown feels that it is written by AI. I wasn't going to include this at first for hot takes, but it actually made me laugh, and the more that I think about it, it is kind of right. Like, at some points it does feel like the WWE 2K simulation could have cooked up some of these matches. Some of these tag matches where it's just like 4 people thrown out there. Like, look, Drew McIntyre, Shinsuke Nakamura versus Damian Priest and Jimmy Uso. What world are we living in? And like, John Cena just turned heel. The Rock is a bad guy. Cody Rhodes is feuding against John. We have Seth Rollins, CM Punk, Roman Reigns in a triple threat. You get what I mean? Like, it could have very well been written by WWE 2K simulation, but the storytelling along the way has made the shows pretty damn entertaining, in my opinion. I think what's happening over on SmackDown, though, is there is a little bit of autopilot going on the road to WrestleMania. They have the main stories that they want to focus on, and they're like, how can we fill 3 hours of TV time? It's always that third hour that is incredibly difficult for whatever reason to fill with meaningful stories. Now, the pros and cons are, you could kind of say they equal each other out, but one of the major cons is that there is there's just a lot of time on TV, and you have to fill that with meaningful matches. And if people aren't into the match, it kind of feels like the show is dragging. But one of the major pros is that you get a lot of TV time, meaning you can have a Zelina Vega and Piper Niven go out there for 12 minutes and have a pretty solid match. You can focus on the tag team division. You can allow stories to breathe. You can do these tournaments where it's like, hey, we're going to fight all through the night, and by the end of the night, we're going to figure out who the number one contender is. Like, there's some good things going on Friday Night SmackDown. It's just a lot of wrestling right now with 2.5 hours of Monday Night Raw, 2 hours of NXT, 3 hours of SmackDown, PLEs mixed in. You have all this extra content going on as well. Like, I don't blame the fans for being a little tired when the third hour of SmackDown on a Friday night rolls around. Or, a Friday afternoon if we're doing these international shows. Am I a fan of everything that's going on at the moment? No, I don't think anybody ever is, right? That's the beauty of pro wrestling, is that you don't really love every single thing that happens, but I guarantee when you watch the show, there's something on the show for you. So I don't love the SmackDown right now on the road to WrestleMania because of that extra hour, but also I can appreciate what that extra hour brings. It's allowing a lot of talent to get on TV and helping some talent to get over. So I'll deal with it. I don't think Tiffany was ready for a world title run. Charlotte looks absolutely levels above her. See, here's the thing with Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair is levels above everybody else. It's Charlotte freaking Flair. We're talking one of, if not the greatest women's wrestler of all time, at least in terms of star power and presentation. Charlotte Flair is unlike anybody else. And that promo showed it yet again. Charlotte Flair commands attention anytime that she speaks, and every single point that Tiffany had, she had a rebuttal right away. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say that Charlotte was burying Tiffany, and she's been burying Tiffany on this road to WrestleMania, but I actually think that's the story being told. Everything Charlotte Flair said is true. She is levels above everybody else. She is Charlotte Flair. Tiffany Stratton wants to be like her, but she will not be like Charlotte Flair because there's only one Charlotte Flair. But what this is doing is it's forcing Tiffany Stratton to see what a superstar acts and presents herself like. If Tiffany Stratton is able to rise up to the occasion at WrestleMania, hold her own in the ring against Charlotte Flair, then the world's her oyster, man. Tiffany Stratton can literally do anything in WWE. But if she sinks when she's trying to swim, then maybe it was too early for Tiffany Stratton. WrestleMania will tell all, but I do love what's going on in this feud, how it's making us believe that Tiffany Stratton is the true underdog going into this match against Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair already views herself as champion, so what's going to happen at Mania? Does Charlotte Flair just walk all over Tiffany Stratton and we create a new chase for Tiffany? Maybe Tiffany Stratton needs to chase that title because Charlotte Flair was right. She did win the title via cash-in. So maybe she's going to lose the title at Mania, create this massive chase going into SummerSlam Night 1, maybe main event, Charlotte Flair, Tiffany Stratton 2 for the title. Maybe Tiffany gets her redemption there. I don't know. The story for me is set and I love what's going on with it. So bring on Tiffany and Charlotte. Can't wait for it. Liv becoming the first woman to pin Jade Cargill was crazy. You know what? Good for Liv Morgan pinning Jade Cargill, right? Nobody really expected that to happen. And for Liv Morgan to have on her record or resume that she pinned Jade Cargill, she was the first woman to pin her in WWE. Dude, that is an awesome accomplishment and honestly well-deserved for Liv Morgan. She has been crushing it since coming back and of course feuding with Rhea Ripley, winning that world title, getting into this relationship with Dirty Dom, and then crushing it now as tag team champion. She's a 3-time women's tag team champion. Like, she is one of the greatest superstars WWE has right now, and I love that she is starting to get some momentum going behind her. I know that she feels like she should be in the women's world title match, that it should be a fatal 4-way, that everything has been built through Liv Morgan, and I understand why Liv Stans would be upset with the treatment of Liv Morgan. But I also truly believe with how much she has crushed it since losing that world title, there is far more world title reigns in her future. Hell, there might be a women's undisputed championship or whatever it is that they call the one over on SmackDown. There might be that in her future as well. She's got everything going for her, and Liv Morgan has management behind her. You can tell that people love what she's doing, and she's in this role right now where she's trying to elevate Raquel Rodriguez because they can trust her that much. They know that she'll go out there and try to turn Raquel into an absolute star, just like she's turned everybody else around her into a star as well. Liv Morgan is incredible. More titles are in her future. With only 4 weeks left until Mania, WWE has to start pushing feuds and rivalries ASAP. Otherwise, it's just going to be pointless put together match after pointless put together match. In terms of the rest of the card, yeah, WWE does have to start developing some more stories in order to make WrestleMania feel like it is a massive show, not just top heavy. At the top, though, I gotta give them credit. The stories are looking pretty good. The Jey Uso Gunther story, I think, is about to take another step forward. Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair have done a great job making me truly be invested in that match. We have Cody Rhodes and John Cena, which I don't need to say much about. Of course, there's Randy Orton and Kevin Owens, which has a ton of story and a ton of momentum behind it. And then the main event of night one, which I think is going to be the main event of night one. The Cody, the John, what the frick? That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Roman Reigns, CM Punk, and Seth Rollins. My God, my brain ain't working today. If you add in a potential Jacob Fatu solo Sikoa match, do something with the tag team titles, maybe a multi-man match over the IC championship, or maybe it's just Penta versus Braun Breaker one-on-one. Who knows? There's a lot of stuff going on. We could also have something going on with LA Knight. I don't know if it's going to be LA Knight versus Jacob versus Solo, if they tie that all in together, or if it's just LA Knight versus somebody else, or if there's a multi-man match with the United States title. There's enough story going on that we can make WrestleMania feel like a big deal, especially if there's going to be like 18 matches across the two nights. If we have 10 matches to 12 matches across both nights, I think WWE's on the right track, but we'll see. There is certainly more story that is needed to develop through the rest of the card in order to make WrestleMania feel like it's a banger after banger after banger. 3 weeks and still no appearance. Removed from the WrestleMania World Weekend. Her tag title match got scrapped. They've just made her return to take her out and do nothing. She deserves better. So what's going on with Alexa Bliss? What has she been up to since returning? She went into the Elimination Chamber match and then just kind of disappeared afterwards. I believe it's because they're doing something with Alexa and the Wyatt Six, and right now, right before WrestleMania, just isn't the right time. I believe Bo Dallas was recently cleared to return to the ring after dealing with an injury, and he's Uncle Howdy, so like he's kind of the centerpiece of that entire story, and if he's not good to go, then they had to kind of pause what had been going on over there. But I truly believe Alexa Bliss's return to WWE was to be directly involved with this Wyatt Six storyline. It's just put on pause at the moment, and if that's put on pause, then it's understandable why Alexa Bliss's push has been put on pause as well. My God, that was difficult to say. Now, I will also say this, it's kind of a shame that even if that was put on pause, that Alexa Bliss isn't doing anything at the moment. Like, maybe she's not completely cleared to return to 100% action, but she certainly looks like she was good to go when she was wrestling in Elimination Chamber. Again, we never know the behind-the-scenes stuff, and we don't know exactly why Alexa Bliss isn't on TV right now, but there's gotta be a reason, and I imagine whenever that is all sorted out, all ironed out, Alexa Bliss will be back on her screens in a big way. Hopefully with the Wyatt Six. We deserve a PLE. Dude, these international crowds have taken shows that are just kind of like, they're okay, they're good, they're not too bad, and made them feel 10 times more important than they actually are. Like, this road to WrestleMania with all these international crowds elevating the shows that they're watching is awesome. And I'm going to put a petition out there to the world that every single year the WrestleMania or the Road to WrestleMania tour is held in Europe. It's held overseas. It's held through the UK. Like, I would love that for 4 weeks to go over there and hear these international crowds tour over there with some of the biggest storylines and biggest moments in WWE happening along the way. Can you imagine these international crowds elevating every single segment to make WrestleMania feel like a giant deal. We're not going to have quiet crowds when it comes to the main event of WrestleMania. We're going to have people who are as loud as can be because they are seeing these people again for potentially the very first time and maybe the last time for like 20 years. Who knows how often it will be that WWE rolls around again. Like the last time WWE was in Italy was back when Santino Marella debuted. I remember watching that from my couch. Like what? That's the last time that they were there? That is insane. So keep being loud, all you international crowds, and you never know, maybe WWE will bring you a PLE in the future. I'd love to see an Italian PLE. The crowd certainly showed that they belonged in the conversation for getting a massive PLE. Like, hell, like if we could make the Clash, like I know we got Clash in Paris coming up or whatever, but if we could make the Clash show the international show, that would be pretty dope. I'd love to see a Clash in Italy. Why not? Kind of a weird placement for Jimmy. He wasn't related to the Drew Damian feud, and it shifted to Strowman Knight for the United States title while he was feuding with Jacob. Yeah, what's going on with Jimmy Uso? Why was he taken from the United States title picture and now seemingly just lost in limbo over on SmackDown? Like, he had a moment with Gunther, and then all of a sudden this dude is just, he's not involved at all in the title picture. Well, I have a working theory, and it's because Jimmy Uso is going to be Jey Uso's mystery tag team partner on Monday Night Raw, and to add to this feud that's going on between Jey Uso and Gunther, I think Gunther is going to absolutely decimate Jimmy Uso on Raw. Like, it's going to be dastardly, it's going to be evil, and it's going to add another layer to this where now Jey Uso is not only fighting to capture that world title, but he's fighting for his family, something that is obviously incredibly important to Jey Uso. If you took his twin out, if Gunther was the man who took his twin out, well, then all of a sudden it makes sense why Jimmy Uso isn't involved in a United States title feud at WrestleMania or near it. Because, well, like, the man might not be at WrestleMania thanks to Gunther. So if you connect those dots, that to me makes a lot of sense why Jimmy Uso is just going to continue to be left in limbo until this story takes place. Maybe he's got a lined up feud with the United States title after WrestleMania. Maybe that's a way that we bring him back and people start to get behind Jimmy Uso a little more because he was taken out, you know? That's a good way to build up babyface momentum. If I'm wrong here, then it makes no freaking sense what's going on with Jimmy Uso, because he was right there. He looked like he was about to break through and potentially even win the United States title. And now I have no idea what they got planned for him if it's not involved with Gunther and Jey. Honestly, with the run Penta has been on, the decision to put him and Phoenix on separate brands for the time being and not put them into a tag team right away, aka when they brought in Gargano back immediately into reforming DIY, is looking like a slam dunk move. I'm pretty sure Johnny Gargano came up on his own and he was doing stuff with like Dexter Lumis for a little bit and it just wasn't clicking, so that's why they went back to DIY with Johnny Gargano. But if we're talking about Penta and Rey Fenix right here, well, Rey Fenix going on over to SmackDown is definitely the right call. Rey Fenix could very well be a superstar in WWE, and seeing him over on SmackDown as opposed to just being thrown into a tag team with Penta will help elevate him as an overall star. Like, WWE might not even see Rey Fenix and Penta as a tag team for this short term. Maybe long term, that's the game plan to get them back together. But short term, they want to showcase what Rey Fenix can do in that ring. They want to showcase his high flying ability, the way that he can walk the ropes, the way that his springboards are just flawless, and just to watch another luchador break on into WWE. I hope also he feuds with Chad Gable, because like that's a ready-made feud right there with everything going on. Or sorry, Grande Americano, my bad. And like, if you've seen anything from Rey Fenix in Lucha Underground, you will know that this dude can absolutely get over as a single star and work some incredibly fun matches as a single star as well. Like, him coming on over from AEW along with Penta, it would feel like we're just rehashing something that we've seen recently if we just put them right into a tag team. Let them be single stars, let them grow as single stars, and eventually the tag team, that link up, will feel 10 times more important, 100 times more important. Hell, I'll even say it 1,000 times more important. But those are your hot takes. Let me know any others that you have down in the comment section below. And again, if you would like to check out my full review with some actual video, be sure to go on over to Patreon. I can't upload them here, but we can upload all that extra content over there on Patreon. We got the Lucha Underground series watch along, the main event series watch along, Raw, SmackDown, and PLE reviews, and so much more. So if you like this content right here, you're gonna love what's going on over on Patreon. If you try try it out. I guarantee you'll fall in love with it. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Be sure to leave that like on your way out. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, all that great stuff, and we'll see you tomorrow for another video.